You want to know the truth? The real truth? Not the kind people package into digestible phrases to make life easier to swallow. I didn't wake up one morning and decide I wanted to be a monster. That's not how this begins. I was never born with fangs. I didn't crawl out of the shadows hungry for blood. I was just like you. I was kind. I believed in people. I believed that somewhere under the chaos and cruelty, there was goodness in the world worth protecting. I clung to the idea that if I smiled first, others would smile back. If I was gentle, the world would be gentle in return. I thought staying quiet, staying humble, and keeping my heart open would be enough. Well, I'd learned it never is. The world doesn't care how much love you have in your chest. It doesn't measure your worth by how softly you speak or how deeply you feel. It only cares about how useful you are. And when that usefulness runs out, when you no longer serve a purpose in someone else's narrative, the world throws you away, chews you up, spits you out, and forgets you ever existed. I begged to be spared, to be seen, to be understood. I cried, I screamed. My pain wasn't silent, it just went unheard. And it didn't start the day I became a ghoul. It started long before that. It started when I was still human, still hopeful. I screamed for help while wearing a smile. I broke quietly while everyone told me I was strong. They said you'll be okay, but they never meant it. They never stayed to see if it was true. I realized slowly that no one was coming to save me. They all had reasons to look away, to pretend they didn't see the cracks in my voice, to excuse the shaking in my hands. They walked past my suffering and called it resilience. They left me in the fire and said it would make me stronger, but they never stayed to see the scars burn. I was abandoned before I ever became something to fear. That's the irony, isn't it? People fear the monster, but they create it through silence, through absence, through apathy. People think monsters are born, but that's a lie the guilty tell themselves. No one's born with hatred in their bones. No one's born with eyes that burn red in the dark. No, monsters are made. Made slowly, made quietly, forged through disappointment and betrayal. Created in silence when you cry out and your voice echoes back unheard. They're born in that moment when the people you would have died for look away and pretend you're fine. That's where it begins. The rot, the corrosion of trust, birth of something twisted but honest. And it doesn't happen in one explosion, it happens in layers. Every lie you swallowed, every night you cried into your pillow, every time you put others first while bleeding inside, until finally the illusion breaks. And underneath, what remains isn't weakness. It's something ancient, something hungry, something powerful, something real. When the world refused to give me a place, I didn't vanish. I didn't disappear like they wanted. I built my own place, in the dark, in the corners no one else dared to go. I built it with blood, with pain, with pieces of myself I thought were already dead. I made a home out of every wound. Every scar became a brick. Every memory I couldn't erase became a weapon. I didn't do it to hurt others. I did it because I had nothing else. I didn't seek revenge. I sought survival. I didn't want power. I wanted peace. And the only way to get it was to become too dangerous to be hurt again. So I became something they couldn't predict, couldn't control, couldn't cage. I became what they feared. Not because I wanted to scare them, but because I wanted to finally feel safe. I grew tired of the pretending, tired of walking around with hollow eyes and cracked lips stretched into a smile that didn't belong to me. Tired of carrying the weight of other people's expectations while my own soul crumbled beneath it. You ever pretend you're okay so well that even you start to believe it? I did. For too long. Until I couldn't anymore. Until the mask didn't fit. Until the lies I told myself turned to poison in my mouth, and I stopped. I stopped pretending. I stopped hiding the darkness. I let it speak, and what it said wasn't weak. It was honest. It said, you don't need to be saved. You need to wake the hell up. And that voice became my guide, my armor, my truth. I lost myself to find the part of me that would fight, not cry, not beg, fight. The version of me that wouldn't just survive but would become the storm, the bite, the shadow that doesn't flinch. I became what they feared, not to spite them, but to prove to myself that I always had it in me. I didn't need their validation. I needed my own permission. When I gave myself that, I became dangerous. They fear the broken ones, you know. The ones who keep getting up. The ones who've been through hell and no longer fear fire. Because they know, once we stop pretending to be okay, once we stop dimming our light or choking down our rage, we become unstoppable. They call me a monster now, and maybe they're right, but they're late to the party. I've been this way for a long time, and no, I don't regret becoming this. I regret waiting so long to do it. I regret all the chances I gave, the benefit of the doubt, the silence I offered when I should have screamed. I regret thinking kindness alone would be enough in a world that feeds on weakness. But pain showed me the truth. It stripped me down and rebuilt me in fire. It didn't kill me. It awakened me. Pain doesn't make you weak. It baptizes you. It burns away the lie and leaves only the truth. It leaves only strength. And when everything else falls away, the friends, the noise, what remains is the raw core of who you truly are. You learn to stand with nothing, to breathe when it hurts, to fight with your back to the wall. That's where monsters are born, not from hate, but from the ashes of love that went unreturned, from the fire of hope that was never answered. No one is coming, and for the first time, that's okay. Because you don't need a hero. You need to become the threat. The shadow they whisper about, the reckoning they never saw coming. So do you, watching, hurting, bleeding inside, hear me. This isn't where your story ends. This isn't your grave. It's your origin, your awakening. You think you're broken? Good. That means you're real. That means you felt something. They tried to destroy you, then become the result of their failure. You're not too sensitive. You're not too emotional. You're not too much. You're exactly enough to burn down the version of you they tried to bury, and in its place, rise. Rise without apology. Rise with your scars showing. Rise with teeth bared, because they made you this. They lit the fire. They fed the storm. So now, become what they fear. Not because you're evil, but because you survived. Because your silence was mistaken for weakness. And now they'll hear you roar. Because your pain was overlooked, and now it will carve your name into every room you enter. Become the storm. Become the shadow. Become the name that they whisper with dread. This world doesn't respond to kindness. It responds to strength. So stop waiting. Stop asking. Take what's yours. Take your place. And never, ever apologize again. Because you are not a victim. You are not broken. You are the consequence. You are what they created. Now become what they fear.